Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's presentation, Participant Direction, Answers, and Support. This is part of our community engagement, re-engaging the whole family. And tonight's presentation is by Tina DiBiaso and Gabriel Smilaglik.
Who is the PA Family Network? PA Family Network is a program for Vision for Equality. Vision is an advocacy organization that promotes empowerment of families and individuals living with disabilities. That means PA Family Network is the perfect fit within their organization. Our program is funded by ODP. More important is that the material is vetted by ODP. With that, we are able to ensure that our information is timely and accurate for families. Our advisors are spread across the Commonwealth, are an extremely diverse group of people. We have advisors that have children, grandchildren, siblings with disabilities, advisors that have disabilities themselves. Our diverse range from supporting young children to those in adulthood, from medical complex needs to some looking for employment. We also have advisors that are bilingual to reach many communication as possible. This leads to better connections with families across the state, no matter what life stages that family is in or where they are located. All advisors are ambassadors of charting the life course or in the process of becoming ambassadors. This is important because ambassadors have enhanced skills to use the CTLC framework and methods, are not afraid to think outside the box and find solutions. What does the PA Family Network do? Each of these blocks are important. Workshops for families, technical assistance for Office of Developmental Programs. We attend meetings, provide input, offer opportunities to bring family voice to the table, mentoring families and their loved ones. The PA Family Network are not advocates. We are charged with assisting families and their loved ones and navigating, planning, and problem solving, team mentoring, system navigation, and developing, identifying supports and services. Why? Why does the PA Family Network do? For individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, I/DD, the role of family is unique and often central in the support and care provided across the lifespan. Family members play key roles in identifying and securing opportunities for their family members to participate in meaningful ways within their community, ensuring access to self-determined lives. This is a quote from the Wingspread report. Wingspread conference was held March of 2011 with the intent to build national agency for supporting families with a member of intellectual and developmental disabilities. The national community of practice for supporting families grew from this initiative and Pennsylvania joined Supporting Families Community of Practice in 2016.
Sorry about that. Disclaimer, this workshop is an overview and is not meant to be a complete training on participant-directed services. Before choosing PDS, a person should discuss options with their supports coordinator and refer to the Office of Developmental Programs waiver documents and regulations for a more complete understanding of the responsibilities of this method of service delivery. There is way too much information to possibly cover in 2 hours, so we have pulled information together from the most accurate sources to create the most accurate information. You have your PowerPoints that were sent to you earlier today, and our contact information is available at the end. But please take time to research and know your waiver and understand your rights and responsibilities. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about the role of the supports coordinator and the administrative entity, what a supports broker is, what they can do, and how they differ from a supports coordinator, and resources to find accurate information on waivers, participant direction, and relevant topics. So here are some pictures of an everyday life. How does a person truly live a self-determined life with activities they enjoy while staying safe and healthy? Participant direction is one of the best ways to make that happen. However, participant direction, also called self-direction, comes with responsibilities and requirements. When we talk about the family, we are including, of course, the individual who is receiving services, but the family is the family of choice. Could be blood relatives, friends, favorite staff, anyone who impacts the lives of the individual and who they choose to be involved. The waivers we'll be talking about today are, number one, the person family directed support waiver, also known as the PFDS waiver, with a $41,000 cap per year. Second, community living waiver, also known as the CLW, with a cap of $85,000 a year. Third, the consolidated waiver. The consolidated waiver has no identified cap, but like all the waivers, it is based on assessed needs. There are exceptions to the cap of the PFDS waiver, but that isn't part of our discussion tonight. For that information, please join one of our waiver workshops. These are the waivers we'll be talking about today. If you have one of these waivers and a service identified in the Individualized Support Plan, the ISP, they can be self-directed. That's another way of saying participant-directed. You can choose one of 2 ways to self-direct, and we will talk about that in more detail. Some terms and acronyms to remember. There are many, many terms and acronyms to remember. We've gathered a few of the ones that are most common to make it easier for you to refer back on.
Surrogate, a person acting on behalf of another. AWC, agency with choice, different names, different counties. BF/EA, vendor fiscal employer agent, one statewide. Participant, individual receiving service. SSP, support service professional terminology used and participant direction. DSP, direct support professional terminology used in traditional agency service. Support broker, a paid professional who can offer support to the participant/surrogate using PDS. PDS, Participant Direction Services, Self-Direct. SC, Supports Coordinator, a emergency administrative entity. CLE, Common Law Employer and Vendor Fiscal. ME, Managing Employer, and Agency with Choice.
So now let's do participant direction quick review. Participant direction services. In accordance with the principles of self-determination, choice, and control, the Office of Developmental Programs has made Participant Direction Service, PDS, available. Participant direction, also referred to as self-direction, allows individuals to have more control over where, when, and how some of their services and supports are delivered. This information is directly from the Department of Human Services webpage under Intellectual Disability Services / Participant Direction. The link is included. PDS, but with participant direction, they have a greater amount of choice and control, along with some additional responsibilities as they become a type of employer. Individuals can be the employer of the people who provide their participant-directed services and supports, or a surrogate can be selected to take on the role of the employer on their behalf. Next. When someone chooses to self-direct their services, they do so with the assistance of a financial management service, FMS, organization. The FMS reduces some of the employer-related work that is associated with self-directing services, such as processing payments and maintaining tax records. The FMS takes care of writing all the paychecks and taking out the taxes, all the background checks, etc. Next. There are two types of FMS, financial management services: agency with choice, known as AWC, and vendor fiscal / employer agent, known as VF/EA. The two options provide the individual or their surrogate with different levels of control and responsibility. AWC is often referred to in the county where you live, such as caregivers in the county I live in, Bucks County, or maybe the ARC if you live in Montgomery or Chester County. VF/EA in Pennsylvania is currently Palco. However, that will be switching to another company effective January 1st, 2024. Not all individuals are eligible to participant direct their services. In order to be eligible, they must live in their own home or in the home of a family member or a friend. Next. Additionally, not all waiver services are eligible for participant direction. Individuals must have at least one of these services on their authorized ISP, individual support plan, before they can use one of the service delivery options. Question and answer. Go ahead, Gabe.
All three ODP waivers PFDS CLE Consolidate waiver offer the opportunity for individuals to self-direct if A, they have appropriate service authorized in their ISP, they want to and have the ability to do so, they choose agency with choice, AWC, as their method of service delivery, or D, all the above.
Sometimes people believe self-direction is available in only the consolidated waiver or under certain circumstances. The circumstances are that you have to be willing to be responsible to take responsibility for directing the services under either agency with choice or vendor fiscal employer agent model of service delivery, which we'll get into shortly. And you have to have the appropriate services authorized in your ISP.
Thank you. Important to note, only some services can be self-direct. Excellent. These must be authorized in the ISP by the administrative entity. So what can be self-direct?
So these services are the ones that can be self-directed. Number one, in-home and community support, unlicensed. Number two, supported employment. Number three, participant-directed goods and services. Number four, assistive technology. Number five, supports broker. Number six, homemaker chore. Number seven, unlicensed respite. There must be at least one of these services in the authorized ISP in order to use participant direction. You can self-direct one service or multiple services. I'm just going to give an example real quick. An example of a service is in the in-home and community support. That's a very common waiver service. This service assists a person in acquiring, maintaining, and improving the skills necessary to live in the community, work on independence, activities of daily living, and more. This can be the support person needs to participate in the community and be part of an everyday life. A person might use in-home and community support and assistive technology and even transportation mile. These services are subject to change when and if the waivers and corresponding service definitions are amended. Join our waiver workshops to learn more about each of these services in detail. So some more services that can be self-directed. Number one, companion. Number two, transportation mile and public transportation. Number three, specialized supplies. Number four, home accessibility. Number five, education support. Number six, family caregiver training and support. Number seven, vehicle accessibility adaptations. So for an example, transportation mile is an important service. If activities are included as part of the outcomes, maybe employment, community activities, going to the gym, etc., how will the person get to these activities? Transportation can be reimbursed / paid by the mile as long as the participant is in the vehicle. This is an important but often forgotten consideration. All of these services are important if they meet your designated need. The PA Family Network offers 3 waiver workshops that identify each of these services and others. Look for upcoming dates and join us. Models of service delivery. There are 2 models of service delivery if you choose to direct your own services and supports. The first one is traditional, The second one is participant directed. So let's look at the two different options. What is the traditional model of receiving your services? The person selects a provider from willing qualified providers in their area. The agency makes staff decisions. They hire the individual, train the individual, they manage everything, they schedule everything. The primary responsibility for implementing the ISP belongs to the provider. In participant direction, the person is directly involved in the hiring or selecting of support people. The person directly manages, schedules, and trains support people. The person directly determines how to achieve the outcomes listed in the ISP. So just to be clear, today we're referring to different ways of having services delivered. The first is the traditional model. Many families are very content with the traditional model. It is often the least time intensive. It is absolutely a personal choice, but it is not participant direction. Tonight, we're discussing participant direction as an option to the traditional model. Credit given to the Temple Institute on Disability and Values into Action Support Broker Training for the information on this slide. In reference, in Agency with Choice, AWC, the participant/surrogate is the managing employer, ME. In Vendor Fiscal Employer Agent, VF/EA, the participant or surrogate is the common law employer, the CLE. These roles are very different. When the participant or the surrogate choose one or the other, they need to do some research and understand that there are responsibilities that go along with each role.
Participant direction, true or false? Be careful when choosing to self-direct either AWC or vendor fiscal, VFEA. One you choose, you must stick with that model, true or false. Drum roll, please. Dun, dun, dun. It's false. Managing employer, ME, or common law employer can change service delivery models as determined necessary for the needs of the individual. There is a process in place to facilitate these changes. The supports coordinator must be involved and it must be identified in the ISP. More true PDS, true and false. It is possible to self-direct some services, use the traditional agency services for some services if that meets the needs of the individual best. Oh, true. Known as the hybrid or blended model of service delivery, it works very well for many people. This may include individuals who services such as a day program or job coaching for some hours, but can self-direct in-home and community supports, transportation, or other services. The PA Family Network presented a workshop that would be available on the hybrid model that will be available on ODP's learning management system in the near future. I believe this is you.
Working together. Lots of pieces have to work together for PDS to create an everyday life. It takes a village. In many ways, it is like a machine with many gears. Each gear makes the next one turn. Everyone needs to understand what their role is and what the role of everyone else is. Some of the important roles: administrative entity, supports coordinator, supports broker. We will clarify which of the roles of each of these as we go forward. So what is the administrative entity? The administrative entity is a county or possibly joinder of several counties or non-governmental unit with an agreement or contract with the Office of Developmental Programs to perform administrative functions delegated by the Office of Developmental Programs related to the approved waivers. palcofirst.com. Often referred to as just the county in conversations with support coordinators and others. The AE, the administrative entity, is the entity who approves the services identified in the ISP.
Who can improve services in an ISP? A sports coordinator who knows the person well. B, sports coordinator supervisor. Or C, the administrative entity. C, only the administrative entity if there is ever a question about where approve or denial for a service or any question comes from. Request a response in writing. That is a good practice for all of us to keep track of the information to make sure that our understanding is clear.
And Gabe, that is very, very good advice. If you have a question, ask the question in writing, ask for the response in writing, and keep all of your paperwork together. I love that. So what is the role of the supports coordinator? Too often questions arise. What does a support coordinator do? Why do we need to stay in contact? How does an SC, support coordinator, help with participant direction? We all know that right now there is a great deal of turnover and it is difficult to keep up a good connection with a support coordinator. The PA Family Network encourages working with an advisor to create a life course portfolio, which we will talk about in a little bit, and share this with new support coordinators so they can quickly become familiar and connect with your needs and your vision. Support coordination. You are entitled to receive services from a support coordination. Their job is to get to know you, your family, and your needs, help develop your ISP to identify outcomes and services to address assessed needs, and complete the PUNS form with you. We know this is often difficult due to the difficulties with support coordination changing frequently. It is necessary to keep them involved. Remember, the ISP is the individual support plan, and it is the plan that identifies your supports and services. It is essential that connections happen with your support coordinator to create appropriate outcomes. The PUNS, P-U-N-S, prioritization of needs for services, is the form that we all fill out that either puts an individual on the waiting list or identifies unmet needs. This is a very important form and should not be taken lightly. What else does a supports coordination do? It's the SC's job to also explain the option of self-direction, locate, coordinate, and monitor waiver services and natural supports in the community, offer person-centered planning and life course framework and tools, and monitor services that are provided in and support full access to the community. An SC can see if funding exists within the system. It is their job to let others know when you are in crisis or need services. They can help families and individuals look at creative options for support. Again, with the current SC crisis, it is even more important that families and individuals come to the table with their portfolio filled out and an understanding of the basics, at least of what is desired to create a good life. Remember, the life course framework, the support coordinator can assist and or refer you to the PA Family Network for the planning process. Family and supports coordinator relationship. This really is a full circle relationship, starting at the top with open communication between the family, the individual, and the support coordinator. Then talking about really building trust in that relationship. And everyone should have high expectations for the individuals, the family, the individual, the support coordinator. It should be a partnership, everyone working together. No one has more say than someone else, and it should be built on mutual respect. The last two slides talked about the official role and responsibilities of a support coordinator. We say official because they don't quite capture the overreaching role. This entire circle is really the overreaching role. The most important element of quality sports coordination is building relationships. When strong relationships are developed, the quality of supports and services improve. Building relationships integral to every function the support coordinator performs. The individual, family, and supports coordinator are a team in and of itself. A solid relationship can truly influence the outcome of the person who is in the center of everything. Self-direction is much easier when this relationship works and is open to questions and respectful conversations.
Connections with the SC: cell phone, office phone, supervisor's name and phone, email for supports coordinator and supervisor. One of the comments that came up frequently in the workshops was the individual wasn't sure how to get in touch with their SC in different situations, or if their SC didn't respond for some reason. They were not sure what to do. If there is an emergency or problem, you will need those additional numbers. These are not numbers or emails for occasional use.
I will tell you, Gabe, that our family, my son, we prefer to contact his support coordinator via email. We really don't reach out too often by phone unless it is something that requires immediate attention, because we do like to have a paper trail, email trail of communication. But it's really up to the individual and the family how they prefer to connect with the support coordinator each time.
True or false? Supports coordinator are responsible for knowing which supports and services an individual should have and already have the ISP filled out.
That's a trick question.
It's false. A support coordinator should have the information and knowledge, but the individual and their family should have ideas on what they need to create the life that is desired. The ISP should never be already completed. As families, including the individual, it is our job to learn what we can about the system and supports and services available. We need to create a vision and determine what is needed in the way of services and supports to make it reality. It should never come to us under assumption that someone knows our family member better than he or she knows themselves. We should, or we know them. True or false? Again, everyone who uses participant direction has a support coordinator and a support broker. Drum roll, please. False. Everyone found eligible in the system has a support coordinator. Only those who choose to use a support broker will, self-directing use one. This confuses so many people.
I'll tell you, Gabe, a way here, go back to that slide, a way that I have found to keep these two individuals and their roles separate, because they do sound very familiar and hence the confusion. Supports coordinator, think of just coordinator, someone that's coordinating all your services, everything you need for an everyday life. A broker, think of like a mortgage broker. When you go to get a mortgage, sometimes when you buy a home, you use a mortgage broker and they look all around at different mortgage companies to find you the best mortgage. So that's kind of how I remember it in my mind, because they do sound similar.
Yeah, yeah. And they both have the both supports in front of their support coordinator, supports broker.
Yes.
That's where I think a lot of people get confused.
So let's talk about a supports broker and the services they provide. They are hired to assist a person who self-directs services with agency with choice or vendor fiscal employment agency models. So right there, let's talk about the word hired. You don't ever hire a supports coordinator, but you actually kind of hire a supports broker. They help the person and or the surrogate by providing education and support to common law / managing employers around employer-related duties and responsibilities. They assist with recruiting, hiring, training plans, backup plans, and performance reviews for support service professionals, SSP. When you direct your own services and supports, an SSP is the staff person that works with you. A supports broker can help you understand the process necessary when you decide to self-direct your services. This means when you become the common law employer or the managing employer, you're able to make decisions about some or all of your services authorized in the participant's person-centered individual support plan, ISP plan. This is when you would want to hire a supports broker. Supports brokers do not impact the budget if you have a PFDS waiver. However, they do impact the budget if you have a community living waiver or a consolidated waiver. A support broker cannot do the duties of the managing employer or the common law employer, but may advise. And they must be recertified every 3 years. And this particular waiver service, supports broker is a waiver service, is limited to 260 hours per year. There's a lot to learn about support brokers. Do your research. There's a lot of them across the state of Pennsylvania. Interview supports brokers before you hire one, and make sure that your supports broker is a team player, willing to work with everyone involved. especially the individual, the employer, and the supports coordinator. So to reiterate, next slide. Supports coordinators and support brokers are not the same. Everyone who is found eligible to enroll in the system has a supports coordinator, an SC. Not everyone has a supports broker because they are only for people that are self-directing, which is an option. Everyone needs a support coordinator. Not everyone needs a support broker. And remember, having a relationship with the support coordinator is paramount. If you don't feel your support coordinator is doing their job or is a good fit for the individual and family, then discuss that with their supervisor and see if you can be reassigned or if the barriers can be worked out. If you aren't happy with the support coordination organization, then you have a right to choose another support coordinating organization who services your county. Do not leave your support coordinator out of the mix. The support coordinator and the support broker must work together. How can the supports coordinator or supports broker help with participant direction? There are many ways that both of these individuals can assist with participant direction. More participant direction. So who can help with person-centered planning? Think about that. A supports coordinator, a supports broker, a PA family network advisor, or all of the above. Okay, we know you know all the answer. We know you all know the answer to this one. All of the above. However, know that your support coordinators are often overworked and short-staffed, and not everyone has a sports broker. And the PA Family Network advisors are available to mentor families or peer-to-peer at no cost. We've been there and look at everything through the family lens. We do not tell you what to do. We let you know what we've seen or explained or experienced. So why should we do person-centered planning? What is this? What does it matter? Why does it matter? Let's take a look and see. Go ahead, Gabe.
Life course framework. Although many options for person-centered planning are available, the Office of Developmental Programs has chosen the charted life course and the life course framework and tools to use preferred person-centered planning program. These tools may look familiar. There is more to the life course and person-centered planning than the tools. Although these great graphs organizers, the PFM and our advisors are trained to work with families and self-advocates in regard to planning the framework.
So Gabe, hold on, Gabe. Let's talk about this for a minute.
Sure.
This is just a picture of 3 of the many tools that are available under the life course framework. These 3 tools, when worked together, are called a portfolio. And this is usually where we start, with 1 or all 3 of these tools. Gabe, do you have a portfolio for you?
Yes.
I actually have a portfolio for me to plan for my future as I age. And my son uses a lot, we've used a lot of the life course framework tools for him, and he has two portfolios, one for successful employment and one for his everyday life.
Well, the one I used was the one in the middle,
The
the
trajectory.
trajectory for planning for me and Liz to have a commitment ceremony, getting married.
I love that. That's a great example.
Yeah, because like our families were unsure about it, so we did the trajectory together, me and her, and we explained what we need to work on and like what needs to be worked on to set in stone. And then after we filled it out, we showed it to them, and they liked the idea, and then they approved about the idea.
So you convinced them using a trajectory. I like that.
Yeah.
So why use Life Course to plan? Like we said, there's a lot of other tools that are out there. Why did Pennsylvania choose the Life Course to use? Well, Life Course plus a really well-written individualized support plan really can lead to an everyday life. Before we look at the Life Course tools and parts of the ISP, let's talk about how this works. When we take the time to think differently and how we plan and problem solve, we find new and promising ways to make life better. We can apply this way of thinking to the ISP. Instead of just being a document that must be completed, we should think of it as a roadmap to a person's good life. Life Course shows us how to look at all parts of a person's life across their lifespan. So as a person moves through transitions, and we all have transitions all through our lifetime, life-changing events, new opportunities, their portfolio can evolve and help make the adjustments needed to change. In turn, with the help of your sports coordinator, the adjustments should easily translate into the individualized support plan. Your Life Course portfolio and your ISP are living documents that should adjust and change as the person grows and changes. I will tell you, we have had several support coordinators over the past couple of years, and having a portfolio, these three Life Course tools for Sean made it so much easier to introduce him to the new sports coordinator and to really jumpstart talking about the ISP and what his goals and outcomes are for an everyday life.
Like my supports coordinator, we talk about like I before I before I had my meeting with him, my first time meeting him, uh basically what I did was I filled up the light course portfolio, like everything, and I basically give it to him for him to keep.
That is a great idea. I love that, Gabe. So you decided to have a copy of your portfolio put in with the ISP with the sport coordinator. I like that idea.
Yeah. So that way he knows everything about me.
Right. And what you want for your everyday life.
Yes, of course. Let's merge life course principles and tools with the ISP. Merge ahead. We take one example and show having someone with experience to guide through you through the life course framework and look at things differently can populate an ISP with new ideas, valuable and valuable bleh, valuable outcomes. Wow. We give one example here to answer the very common question arose during these workshops. But know that PA Family does offer a workshop on using the light course framework and tools to understand your ISP.
And thanks for reminding us, Gabe, that we do have a separate workshop specifically on using the life course framework and tools to understand your ISP plan. So this particular tool is called the trajectory, the vision/trajectory.
Yeah, my favorite.
So you can see the vision of what we want for our loved ones on the top right. This is our goals, our hopes, and our dreams. So that's top right in purple. My vision for my family members' good life, what we want, our goals, hopes, dreams, our vision. We're going to briefly identify the parts of the trajectory as we go here. Below that is what I don't want. So think about what you don't want to happen in your life. This isn't necessarily always the opposite of what you do want. But think about what you do want for your goals, hopes, and dreams, and then what you don't want to happen in your life. On the left-hand side is our path to reach that vision. And then underneath the arrowed line, going from the bottom left-hand corner to the upper right-hand corner, is the things that can happen in our life that can lead us on the wrong path. No matter how hard we try, we are always going to have things happen in our life that take us off of our goal, take us off the road to our hopes, dreams, and vision. So on the left, we want to talk about the experiences that will take us to our good life, our good vision. We can include past life experiences, and then also moving forward experiences that we haven't had yet, but we want to build to move us toward that good life. Below the arrowed line, once again, past life experiences that took us away from our good life, and then maybe something that might happen in the future, maybe may or may not happen in the future. Next.
Importance of a vision, creating a dream, a positive expectation of the future. No vision. Without it, there is no expectation of what the future might look like. No vision again. Without it, someone else may determine our future and we may not like it. So why is it so important to have a vision? Image your own life as a young adult leaving high school, starting a job, or going to college. Do you remember your vision was for your own life at this stage? Perhaps your vision for yourself changed throughout the life based upon your experiences as you grow and learn more about the choices, likes, and dislikes. A vision is having a destination. Without a destination, we'll wander and not move forward at all. We'll basically go around in circles. As family members, having and sharing our vision for our loved one has enormous power, and when our loved one reaches the ability to define his or her vision as family members, we shift sharing the vision with them and supporting them and moving forward towards it.
So what is a trajectory? That's another tool we're going to talk about. It takes your vision, your outcome, your trajectory towards your good life, friends, family, job, fun things to do, independence, maybe living in your own place, happiness, your personalized dreams, outcomes, vision. Then the bottom arrow of the trajectory takes us toward the things you don't want. And we talked about that earlier, vision of what I don't want in my life. So a trajectory with the two arrows is really a roadmap. The vision is the destination, but how do we get there? But you need to know where you are going before you can plug it into the GPS. Kind of think of it as like taking a trip. First, you plan, knowing that things can change. Barriers pop up, road work, etc. Then you have to problem solve. How do you get around the detours? For a day, an event, maybe a lifetime. Things keep changing. We grow, we change, evolve. We have new likes, we have new dreams. Lots of possibilities come our way. But that vision can offer outcomes for the ISP plan. So what is an outcome? An outcome is a final product or end result and should reflect the vision, priorities, dreams, and hopes of the person. It is developed based on what is important to and what is important for the person. It is your vision for a good life. The information in the completed ISP will help identify what a person should work on to maintain current skills, to develop new skills, and to develop outcomes. Outcomes will reflect what they would like to maintain in their life, the changes they would like to see for themselves, the changes that people that support them would like to see happen, the priorities which are identified by the person and by the people who support them, skills that are currently important for them to work on or to maintain, formal and informal assessments and information gathering, links to appropriate informal and formal services and supports. Let's look, that's a lot of information. Let's look at individuals who meet the objectives in their ISPs in the best possible way by truly living their vision. So I know this slide is very small to read. We will start at the top and work our way down, and know that this information is taken directly from an ISP. Outcome phrase. This is a description to easily identify the outcome. This phrase is intended to assist with easily navigating through the ISP to find all related information. Outcome start date, day, month, year. The date the activity will begin to work toward achieving the outcome. Outcome end date, the estimated date of when the outcome should be achieved. And some outcomes are never achieved if they're a lifelong outcome. Outcome actual end date, the actual date the outcome was completed, if indeed it was. Next section, has the outcome been successfully accomplished? Yes or no? Select yes or no to indicate whether the outcome has been successfully accomplished. But note, when initially creating outcomes, this field should be no. When the field is changed to yes, an actual end date should be entered above for the outcome. Outcome statement represents what is currently important to the individual, what needs to be maintained for the individual, or what needs to be changed. The outcome should describe how it will make a difference in the individual's life. The outcome must build on information gathered during the ISP process and reflect a shared commitment to action. Remember that outcomes supported by the Office of Developmental Program funding, waiver funding, must be within the context of health and safety of the individual and or assuring their continued life within the community. Outcomes that address other priorities of the individual should be represented and supported with other community, family, or non-traditional supports, i.e. natural supports. Use the principles of everyday lives to develop outcomes with the individual: choice, control, quality, community inclusion, stability, accountability, safety, individuality, relationships, freedom, success, contributing to the community, collaboration, communication, and mentoring. Include health-related outcomes only if there is a gap in the provision of support for the individual's health needs. And then finally, the reason for the outcome. This provides contextual information beyond the outcome statement for the team to understand why the outcome is important to the individual. This is where our outcome statements in the ISP will come from. This is just one example. The life course portfolio can populate an ISP with outcomes, steps, resources, know and do, and so much more. This creates a person-centered plan that can flow as well into participant direction.
It sounds a lot like the trajectory.
Doesn't it though? You're
Yeah.
right, Gabe. You are right. So ideas, next slide, for developing a good ISP. Use Life Course with an advisor from the PA Family Network if you choose. Family to family, peer to peer, or team mentoring. Keep a copy of your Life Course portfolio for yourself and have copies to share. Share everything with your supports coordinator, and as Gabe mentioned earlier, put it in the ISP. And remember that your Life Course portfolio are fluid tools, so update them when necessary. Your services and outcomes have to be in your ISP to be provided. Create a vision for that everyday life, however it works for you, and capture it in the individual support plan. Make sure those community connections and resources are listed in your Life Course portfolio, and your SC has a copy. And of course, always keep a copy for yourself.
Most important, follow the vision. Avoid a cookie cutter plan. If an ISP has changed in years, or Joe's ISP looks exactly like Lisa's ISP, it's a problem. ISP needs to be unique and individual. Hence, that the and individual support plan needs to be the person-centered. Individualization leads itself beautiful to self-directed. Self-direction give you the opportunity to look for supports in very,
Variety.
Thank you. Variety of places. True or false? Drum roll, please. True. Why is that? It is not always easy, but participant direction offers the opportunity to hire and fire support service professionals, SSPs, who suit the personality, service needs, and style of the individual and family. It is easier for some places and for some people than for others.
So let's talk about hiring and training SSPs. Can be more individualized in self-direction. Supports brokers can be of assistance in some areas. Creativity and using local networks and resources is very important. It is not only about hiring family and friends. This question comes up frequently. This is another way that support brokers can assist. Occasionally, SCs have some resources as well. The PA Family Network can assist with helping a family look at who they know and where they may be able to look for further. We also have workshops on ideas for hiring and training staff, which will be on the learning management system for my ODP. So life is more than services. It's people we love, friends, places we love to go, things we love to do with others. So we have a couple pictures here from our family advisor, family, and I recognize the one on the left, Gabe. Who's that?
That is my lovely wife, Elizabeth, and me,
Right. Now we have a young man in the center,
Billy,
and
my
then
brother.
Gabe's brother, and then another young man working with his father in the garden on the right. And even in participant direction, we need to look at all the resources. People often refer to natural supports or unpaid supports, and that is frequently part of the picture. A family member helping out, a friend covering for a while, but it is also part of the fabric of our lives. The connections that we have, relationships, friends, lovers, acquaintances, and professionals, the teams we root for that bond us with the friends we go with and the people all around us. Maybe the usher at the Wilkes-Barre Penguins game has taken an interest in the guys in the middle picture and keeps an eye on him to make sure he doesn't carry too much down the steps or drag their coat, etc. He greets them like an old friend and tells them he is happy to see them, which truly makes their day. How about scout leaders, Special Olympic coaches? This is all part of our vision for a good life, and truthfully, doesn't mean that we don't need services. It just means that we have more than just services. And this is something that's truly important and we don't want to lose sight of.
In vendor VFEA model of participant direction, there are no resources to train SSPs. True or false? Both.
That's a tricky one.
Training is not provided for SSPs in the VFEA. It is up to the CLE to develop the training and individualize it for the participant needs. Options aboard. Everyone using either model of participant direction services or even the traditional agency should have an account on MyODP, and the training and resources are intensive. We also provide other resources at the end. The option online and workshops offered through various resources all the time.
So basically, in the vendor fiscal employer agency model of participant direction, there are no resources to train SSPs. However, these resources can be found in a lot of different areas, including MyODP. So we do highly recommend that everyone opens an account and looks at MyODP website.
Keeping it individualized. Every person receiving services needs different supports, so the training that all staff receive should be just individualized to meet those needs. Every participant, every individual needs to have their needs met. Everyone has the different needs. Some people more need more community activity. Some may need more technology. And understanding what is needed to meet these needs is important. Creating a schedule of training and identifying what needs to emphasize is very important for SSPs who work in our home and communities, who are focused on an individual's vision and their goals.
So Gabe, should the staff who work with your brother Billy be trained the exact same way as the staff that work with my son Sean?
No,
No, absolutely not. It should be
because
very
because
individualized.
because each person's different. Billy's needs might be different than Sean's needs.
Absolutely.
In some ways, they might be the same, but it's mostly should be individualized for the individual.
Yes. So here is the website address for MyODP, www.myodp.org. There's several drop-down menus that you can find the information that you're looking for. ODP is an amazing resource. It truly is one-stop shopping. Personally, I'm on it probably several times a week, looking up all different information. There are workshops from a variety of training partners that offer courses on almost all topics. But seriously, any topic you can imagine around the Office of Developmental Programs supporting individuals with intellectual disability and autism. Each of these training partners offers a variety of options and resources to build your individualized training, and everything is available at no cost. Gabe, have you ever done any of the trainings on MyODP?
Yes,
I've done
I,
several of them, and I've always found them very, very good. I've really
I
gotten a
did.
lot out of them.
I did the Fatal 4 one, and I think it was one with the light course stuff.
Oh, nice,
Yeah,
nice.
and sometimes I go on my own and I look up other trainings for it, certain things I want.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. So you can really tell everyone what you want for your everyday life.
Yeah, exactly.
So the PA Family Network is run as a program through Vision for Equality, www.visionforequality.org/events, where you can find the calendar of our events. And of course, there's a PA, the PA Family Network is here to help. We offer workshops, caregiver meetings, family forums, and more that offer information and resources. Our calendar of events can be found from the Vision for Equality website calendar. So when problems happen, unfortunately, things do not always go as planned. Sometimes our intentions are not well thought out. Sometimes those gears we talked about earlier get stuck or situations change. So what happens when the Office of Developmental Programs realizes that someone's needs are not being met? Nobody can stop us from using participant direction, right? Wrong. Certain circumstances require intervention by the Office of Developmental Programs. This is a question/comment of concern by many people, and we want to be clear about it. So let's talk about termination from participant-directed supports. This information can be found in Appendix E/1, parentheses M, parentheses, on the dhs.pa.gov/docs/documents ODP. Involuntary termination will occur if the participant is suspended or convicted of Medicaid fraud, or if there's sufficient evidence that the participant's assessed needs are not being met through the self-direction of services as determined by the Office of Developmental Programs. Once again, this information can be found in Appendix E/E1, and this is taken directly from the appendix. Involuntary termination. If the VF/EA model supports coordinator will offer AWC, agency-based service options, or a combination of the two. If in the agency with choice model, the supports coordinator will offer a choice of agency-based service options. Involuntary termination means that it is not the decision of the participant or the surrogate. The decision is made for them. The supports coordinator is responsible for ensuring that the health and safety of the individual is met. Removal of a surrogate. ODP may, at its discretion, remove a surrogate functioning as an employer in either model if the surrogate is suspected or convicted of Medicaid fraud or fails to meet the condition of their signed agreement. Surrogates shall not have the right to appeal such removals. And yes, this can happen. That is why it is so important to understand the roles and responsibilities that you take on when you become a surrogate. The supports coordinator is responsible to work with the participant, the surrogate, and the service team to maintain health and welfare, monitor and coordinate an effective transition between participant-directed and traditional services, and monitor that services are provided in accordance with the authorized service plan. Removal of a worker. ODP may, at its discretion, require the termination of a worker, an SSP, in either model if the worker is suspended or convicted of Medicaid fraud, or demonstrates an inability to meet the participant's assessed needs as determined by ODP. This unfortunately happens as well. Not all workers treat individuals or families fairly or with the respect they deserve, and sometimes action is required. Options, opportunities, choice and control. That is participant direction. Overall, PDS, Participant Directed Services, offers options, opportunities, choice, and control. These opportunities come with responsibilities as well. We hope this has offered at least a few ideas to start you thinking about ways to create a vision, use the Life Course Framework tools, and an ISP, and move forward with participant direction.
Resources. Family and individual mentoring, one-on-one or family. One of the ways to start person-centered planning is to work together with a mentor from the PA Family Network. We're all family members, individuals with developmental disabilities. We can work with you to help look outside the normal realm of responses and perhaps look at new opportunities. Mentoring, meeting a family member where they are at, working with the individual with disability and the family of choice. Just the family is that what is needed first. We can provide mentoring, as we mentioned earlier, to family, advisor team mentoring, peer-to-peer, or team mentoring. An advisor joins the team mentoring, assists to communicate to a conscience. Yeah. consensus. We share experiences and help families and their loved ones to think differently about their life experiences and expectations. These tools are great graph organizers. We help families work through the life course tools, which includes the one-page description, the vision, the directory, and the integrated support star.
Gabe, thank you so much for sharing that information again, because the PA Family really is an amazing free resource to families across the Commonwealth. So thank you for pulling that all together for us.
Advisor team mentoring, participant, family or surrogate, PA family advisor with IDD. This can be discussed without showing it during the poll. This have it in their handout. This is distant form of mentoring, encouraging all of us to meet challenges head on and be creative in our solutions. Offer peer-to-peer approach. And real quick, I'm gonna run the poll. Is that okay?
We have a couple more slides left, but let me just cover this slide, then we can run the poll. So once again, to bring team mentoring around, to think about new ideas and really build some creativity. Start with the family or the individual in the middle, then around the outside. PA Family Network, supports coordination, medical team, transition facilitators, direct staff, and any others. Bring everyone to the table. Everyone listens to what the individual and the family want and don't want. It's solutions-based. It's ideas built on other ideas, brainstorming, especially where multiple supports and services and even multiple systems are involved. This approach streamlines the process for all involved. It prevents us from operating in silos. It's easier with virtual options in the world we live in today. We're not here to fix, we're here to facilitate. Family advisors are there to help plan, give options, push to explore the possibilities. Anyone important to the family or the individual is an important team member. Siblings, other relatives, etc. This can help identify networking options that might potentially lead to community connections, SSPs, backup plans. Networking is so important. Gabe, I think before we run the poll, I'm just going to run through these resources.
Oh, sure.
This first one truly is an awesome resource. It's called the Gold Book. It was just updated and just published online. It is free and available for everyone to see and download. This is a must download for everyone. If you or someone you care about is involved in an intellectual disability / autism system, this is the link for it, but it can also be found on the visionforequality.org website. Highly recommend this resource. It's very large. I would not print it out. I keep it as a link on my home computer, and I truly do look at it probably at least once a week. Guides for employment law, because remember, you're going to be a managing employer or a common law employer. Number 1, employment law guide, which can be found at dol.gov. I'm assuming that stands for Department of Labor.
Yeah,
Number 2, employment laws, overview and resources for employers / U.S. Department of Labor, yes, dol.gov. Number 3, laws and regulations, home, can be found at pa.gov. More resources, Appendix E. 264691.pdf found at pa.gov. Bulletin 00-20-04, participant directed services, agency with choice .pdf can be found at paproviders.org. Employer handbook pa final-revised. That is the common law employer handbook, can be found at palcofirst.com. Next, third page of resources. Intellectual disabilities / autism services, waivers / eligibility / resources. This is a long link, so I'm not going to read it, but you can see it on the screen. And it is a clickable link. It will be a clickable link on this broadcast. More information about fair hearings and appeals can be found at this website. And this is another long one, so I'm not going to read it. I don't want to get it wrong. And it's a clickable link on this workshop, this webinar. So thank you so much for joining us. Oh, I missed the resource. I apologize. www.dhs.pa.gov.providers documents / ISP manual for individuals with ID.pdf. Another website here looks like it's the Spanish version of the above document. And then finally, pafamilynetwork.org/events. More resources, training, independent living research utilization, ILRU.org, a great resource for a variety of independent living training ideas for SSPs, families, and individuals. myodp.org, which we talked about earlier, paautism.org/e-learning/. So thank you for joining us tonight. Gabe, go ahead and start the poll. Please stay for a few more minutes. Help the PA Family Network by taking this poll. Please feel free to put any comments or ideas, suggestions in the chat. If you're interested in speaking with a family advisor or family advisor team, please contact us at 1-844-PA-FAMILY. And that is a toll-free number. We appreciate your feedback in the poll. The chat can only be seen by either myself or Gabe, so feel free to put anything in the chat. Any comments, questions, feedback? Gabe, do you have any comments to add to our participant direction webinar tonight?
Well, if anybody wants to get into the team mentoring, it would be a great idea because I learned a lot when I was doing team mentoring.
I love that. And I can tell you over the years, we have used PDS, participant direction, with our son in a couple different ways. It was very, very helpful. I did talk to a support broker. She was very helpful. We really only needed her for a very short amount of time, but it really was very helpful. So I'm a big believer in participant direction, and we are here to help you understand how it works. Gabe, is our poll completed?
Well, I got 70%.
All right. Thank you very much for your feedback. We truly appreciate it. And thank you for joining us tonight. Have a great evening, and we hope to see you soon.
I'm going to stop.
Gabe, you can stop the recording.